Suck my ass, this is Stiff Oddcast.
Welcome to the April 29th, 2014 edition of the Stiff Oddcast. We're here with Darrin Johnson. How the fuck are you, man?
I'm good, man. How are you?
Pretty good, dude. It's about to crack open a cold beer, man. We got a lot to catch up on, a lot to talk about, dude. How's the weather up there?
It snowed today. It did not stick, fortunately, so that's a little sunshine our way, but still cold and miserable.
Well, over here in BFE, we've been having bouts of random thunder showers, and right now we got a cold front that just settled out of the blue. It's just random. It's a subtle attack on the Southerners down here. So
we saw a rainbow.
Yeah.
We did see a rainbow. That was the
today.
most exciting thing anyone has seen, I think, in the last couple months in Kentucky. So
Right on, man. It's what I'm thinking though. Everybody's complaining up here, obviously, and I'm one of the people I'm talking about because it sucks when you're in that weather. Of course, you're going to complain about it, but I'm thinking that we've got so much shitty weather right now that just means the world has moved on, and when it comes December, maybe it'll be warm here. But
Maybe.
everybody's so locked into their
Yeah.
it has to snow for Christmas, but I mean, we're from Kentucky. How often does that happen?
I
Right.
know. That's true.
I remember it way back in the day when I was a wee tyke, but it's been a while since then. So.
Fuck, man, because I think you had a pretty good post about this. I don't know if it's a couple months ago, but anytime anyone down here in Kentucky complains about how cold it is, I always think about Darrin and people that have real fucking cold problems.
yeah, we have
dude.
family in Michigan, man, and they deal with harsh winters all the time. They ice fish.
Oh, yeah, my drummer actually, he was living in Faribault, Minnesota down here, but he moved back to the UP, the Upper Peninsula, like fucking basically Canadian. He's Canadian,
Whoa.
And it looks like Christmas there right now.
Shit.
That's that's not that far from here, because we drive down and we play, and it's 6 or 7 hour drive, and it's like Christmas there. So
Shit, yeah, so you saying
that's fun.
you're saying basically it's okay. Are you saying that how far is Canada from Minnesota?
We border Canada, but the thing is, I'm in southern Minnesota, so it would still be a good 8-hour drive to get to Canada, I guess, from here.
Shit.
Maybe not that far. I don't know. I've never measured, but I'm on the southern part. I'm the metropolis of Minnesota.
Yeah.
Twin Cities. So
I just want to, before we get too deep into this oddcast, I just want to say, man, we missed the fuck out of you, man.
Oh, yeah, man, definitely. Well, you know that. You've already gotten plenty of drunken phone calls about either one of us. And be like, Darrin, we miss you,
Darrin,
bro.
we fucking love you, man. Yeah. Yes.
hey, yeah, man, I miss you guys too. Trust me, it sucks. I mean, it's cool to have gotten away, from there, but at the same time, it's like I get here and everybody that's here wants to get away too. I think it has something to do with where you're born.
Right.
It's like hardly anybody other than the good old boys, never want to get away from home.
Right.
I think everybody wants to venture out and go somewhere different and see new things. And it's definitely cool, but I do miss home a lot sometimes, mainly the people like you guys, of course.
Now,
But, there's the flip side of the coin. Like, I can play a show anytime I want to play a show. I can get booked to
right.
play a show.
Which I would kill for that.
And, the majority of the time, there's somebody good in town to go see. Now, do I have money to see them every time they're in town? Somebody did know. Like, Queens are here, I think they're here 2 days ago, actually. And I didn't get to go to that one because I didn't know about it. And by the time, decided to go, it's like, well, too late. I can't get anybody to go with me. I don't go by myself. Knock out, But they were just here, and this next month I've got like 3 or 4 different concerts to go to, and so that's cool. But the thing is, not the music capital that it once was. You know, like they used to have people here from the labels that stay here all the time because this music scene was so hopping all the time.
Right.
And I'm not saying that the music scene is bad because it's not at all. It's just that music is in such a different place now.
Well, dude, it is. Yeah, it's a sign of the times, man. Even like I would assume, even in the LA scenes, kind of died down a whole lot. And
Yeah,
it's just not.
Just music in general. I mean, it's not because I mean, like there, it was pretty easy to be good. You know what I mean? Like back home in Kentucky, it's like our bands were, really good bands.
Right.
But it was really easy to be good too. You know what I mean? It's like
Yeah.
it's not easy to be good. I'm just saying it's like you come here and there are so many good bands.
Right.
You know?
It's more
Like,
competition,
wow, you have competition like hardcore now. You know, it's not like, hey, you are on every show, every bill that happens because those shows only happen at the Ag Center like once every 2 or 3 months. So of course you're gonna play it.
Right.
Right.
Up here, it's like there are so many bands you can't be on every bill, and but it's cool. I've met a lot of really, really good musicians, and I'll even name drop some local bands that I like from up here that I really want you guys to check out. I think they could be something too,
Right.
But I'll do that later.
Fucking let's talk about that. What kind of projects you have going on? Like last time I heard, aren't you playing in 2 different bands now?
Well, that's the thing. Like when Jared was going to move, let me talk about my band, The Sound Theory. My drummer, which you guys know a little something about, seeing as you were in the band.
Right.
Right.
Obviously.
Mm-hmm.
Because, Sound Theory was a project that I started after Downside kind of went to put, as you know.
Yeah.
And that started out, and I think it was actually Dick Gray that was like, hey, you should play this with people. And then, I knew I should, but he was like, you should. And so I played with him and Kevin Willoughby, who's been on your show.
Yeah.
And Dick's Garage a couple times, and I was like, fuck, this is good. I wanna get some really good musicians to do this. So who did I call? I called on the Brothers Orange.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. Hell yeah, because I knew it could happen.
Yeah.
I
Plus,
knew it could be something good.
yeah, because we can just look at each other and know what the fuck we're thinking when it comes to music,
right,
especially.
We have very similar taste in music, and what's cool about our similarities in our taste in music is that they're so eclectic. We like so many different kinds of music
Yeah.
that, it's like anytime we would hook up, it's like, hey, check this out. Have you heard this? And that's cool. That's the kind of friendships you want because it's cool to, it's almost like a challenge. Like, well, fuck, I got to find something kick-ass to show them next time.
Yeah, the one-up, it's a pleasant one-upmanship. For
Right,
a lot of,
right.
Yeah, for a lot of people, they don't experience that. They're kind of just on their own, and some people are hobbyists and stuff. But for the people listening to this, I have no idea exactly why it's so important to actually kind of talk to you on this show, outside of the fact that you're extraordinarily talented, is we were part of a scene mildly there for a while in 2003 to about roughly 2006 is when it finally ended here. But there was a resurgence of indie rock and live music here in Middlebury County. But when the chance came that, Darrin, Mike, and or Michael Pierpoint at the time was drummer. Mike Meese at one point was the bass player. Rest in peace. And then eventually you had Travis Miller played drums for you. Is that right?
Yeah, that's a Sound Theory.
Sound Theory. But a lot of people have no idea. We've done radio before. Together.
Right. Oh, yeah, definitely.
And now we have the opportunity to be doing radio for real, and
Right.
Don't get me wrong, I thought it was great and exciting to go on those, but it made me hate radio, actually, a little bit.
Yeah, man, was that not eye-opening? That was
Yeah.
insane, like, that first time, because you and me, we were on the radio the first time together.
Yeah.
Me and Alan were. It was me, Alan, and Michael Pierpoint, and we went to do Downside stuff, because all of a sudden, some dude called on the phone one day, and this was pre-cell phone, I think, right? No, people had cell phones. I sure did. But he called from the newspaper, and he wanted to do something on Downside out of the blue. Like, I don't know where that came from. We hadn't played in like a year. And so then all of a sudden, the radio station's calling, and they're like, hey, can you come do an acoustic set? And so I was like, well, it's really only me and Michael Triplett. So I called up who did I know that played guitar or bass really well. It was Alan. So I called up Alan, and I didn't know that Casey played at the time. I didn't know Casey.
I was on my way up. I was on my way up,
He
man.
was just starting out.
Like, I talked, didn't you come over the day that Alan came over to, like, learn the songs? You came over, right?
Yeah. Plus, you know,
over, and, like, I think that was the first time I really hung out with you, and I was like, hey, he's cool, too.
Yeah.
You know?
fucking, you know, I was still too much of a fan of what's going on. I was still trying to figure out, I was like, well, I want to try this. So I was kind of, you know, in between there. I was just I don't know. I was just trying to figure it out at the time.
I remember how big of a deal it was, though, to be on the radio. I've been groomed on radio, more or less, since I was a child, you know, obviously. And
Well, yeah.
But I remember
Yeah,
at that time, I think I haven't heard from you for a little while because I knew you was busy. You know, you had your child and at around that time, and you know.
Right. Yeah.
And,
Yep. I had my firstborn. So.
Yeah.
It must have been what 2002 then, I guess, right?
Yeah, something like that, man.
All it down, something like that.
Yeah, you have two beautiful young ladies.
Oh yes,
Wow.
absolutely. Tony and
Harley.
I'm gonna leave you with that one.
Haley.
You
know.
But yeah, it's crazy. But you know, it was a shock at the time for me to get a phone call, you seeking me out for anything, because I thought that's absolutely absurd at the time. Because I'm like, it'd be the other way around. Because I can remember, I have a tape of one random moment when you and Michael had showed up at the house, and we just jammed on the blues for a while.
Right.
And I was 15, maybe. And it was like such a big deal. It's like a celebrity came to my house. It's like, the dude from Empathy played guitar with me.
Yeah.
I couldn't play his guitar because he was left-handed, you know. But, yeah, so going to do the radio thing was an eye-opening experience, and it really made me just despise a certain aspect of the way music was being marketed, I guess. It was, I don't know.
Oh, yeah, for sure, man. Yeah. One thing I want to add really quick, though, is, and this is a testament to how good Michael Pierpoint is on the drums. He didn't know the songs, really.
No.
So Alan had came over to my house, and he learned them in a day, so that's a testament to Alan, too.
Right.
And,
But
you know,
Michael,
I'm not trying to act like these are some really hard songs. They're like, you know, little poppy songs, but they're good songs, and, you know, but just to pick up on them that quick, and then, so Michael didn't know the songs, so on the drive to the radio station, how do I even tell them? They, you know, play on a guitar or what? Like, I just explained it to them, and then we got there, and there was only one song that we had any kind of trouble with, and it was just because I had a weird timing, but other than that, it was perfect.
Yeah, see, that's what I got from playing with Pierpoint. Yeah, I'm putting him over pretty well just because, I think he is the best power drummer that Muhlenberg County's ever seen. And back talking about that, I guess that quartet connection that I think all of us have, you can just look at Pierpoint and he's got it.
he knows what you're going to do.
Yeah, he knows. Well, because, I mean, he's like us. He can sense when something is supposed to, like, okay, this needs to go somewhere new right now, you know.
Right.
He's got that. He knows. He's got that connection, too. You guys got it. I like to think I have it.
Oh, totally, yeah.
dude.
Yeah, man, 100%.
But, yeah, back to the radio thing. Like, I mean, you have people that are, like, telling you, you know, they're setting up your song, like, here's Downside with Over. And then, boom, they stop recording. They're like, okay, pretend you guys played that song. Now we're going to go right back into it. And, you know, this is eye-opening for people that have never been in that industry or that kind of situation to see how it is, you know?
Yeah.
And I was a virgin like that, you know?
Yeah.
Alan was too, so we're both like, what? That's how they do it? And so then, okay, here's another secret, people that you don't know I'm giving away. The audience is actually us. We have to clap for ourselves
Yeah.
and pretend that we're people cheering for Downside when actually it's Downside themselves.
Right.
for their song that's fading out.
I would have been saying, well, if he's able to say stuff, we'd be like, yeah, that dude that sings and plays guitar has a huge dick. Yeah, he's awesome. It's that kind of stuff.
It would have been too loud because there are only three of us clapping. So.
Yeah. The thing was with that, as exciting as it was to do the radio thing, and but I was kind of just baffled by the amount of routine. This is a business. It's very market oriented and all that stuff. The thing that got me the most, though, and you can hear it on the interview, which I have on audio cassette, and one of these days I'll try to upload it, but you did bring up something that wasn't in the song that they claimed to have heard, and they were commenting on it. They were responding, yeah, it's like, that was really good, And I thought that was really funny. Yeah, you said something about a string section.
Yeah.
And
I thought the funniest thing is when the chick, I hate to say chick, I know girls don't like that.
Gray,
lady,
Mrs.
woman,
Gray,
female that was in the room,
Yeah.
that was co-hosting the show, when she was like, they really just remind me of like a young Bon Jovi. I'm like, what? We didn't play a song for you, and you came to the conclusion that we sound like Bon Jovi?
It's like, yeah, what was she listening to? It makes
I don't know if she's in the control room with her husband, but they were nice people, and they played that show. That I'll go on record as saying that show is the one they played that they recorded the most.
Yeah.
Like, I heard that on repeat more than I heard anything. It's like,
Yeah.
you could just turn it on 101.9 sometimes, and that show would be playing that we were on. So.
What's interesting is Paul McCree, I don't think he does radio anymore. I think he does online journalism for I Surf Kentucky. And I'm kind of tempted to actually email the guy and call him out on some stuff. Not to start any drama, just be like, man, do you not feel like that kind of screwed us and a lot of people over on the illegitimate projection of the product that so these local shots needed? Not now, we also did 93.9 as well, right? Yeah. You remember that?
It's a weird thing because that was the big rock station down there at the time.
Yeah.
So you're thinking, I'm thinking that last show sounded great.
Yeah.
It sounded really good live recorded. And then I'm thinking, since this is 93X, this is going to be a big deal.
Yeah, because they're fucking.
What was it down there? 93X is here.
Yeah, 93.9. Yeah, they're the classic rock station. Yeah, the classic rock station plays ZZ Top, Rush on repeat,
right, okay.
Metallica.
Well, that's the thing. Up here, that's the big station, too. So I was thinking I was confusing my 93Xs. But
they're all cookie cutter.
But it's like we went in there and recorded, and it sounded horrible when they played it.
Yeah.
It was the most horrible mix.
Yes, it sounded
I remember,
terrible.
like, as soon as it was over, he called me, and Alan did, and you're like, dude, that sounded bad. And I'm like, I know. Horrible. I don't know who they had doing the mix, but it was not a
I will tell you, though, I think it was a better interview because
I agree, because we had Luscious Leona, who was not that luscious.
No, and I hate to...
I heard her so much on the radio that it was kind of cool, like, going in and, Luscious Leona's going to interview us, And you go in and you're like, where is she? Is this her pet sister?
Oh, man. Oh.
I'm sorry. She's never going to hear this, right?
Oh, my God.
Yeah, I hate to make her out to be a hag, but God damn it, is that disappointing.
Yeah, it goes back to the expectations versus reality thing.
Yeah.
And kudos to her for,
But the best part about that gig, though, Darrin, is when they brung out that dude to play mandolin on one of your songs.
Oh, I know, right? Yeah.
I remember, it fit. It sounded pretty decent. It wasn't terrible.
Yeah, kudos to him. He learned that song pretty quick. Granted, it only has two or three little parts there.
Yeah.
But
I
re-recorded that one recently.
What's the name of that?
That was the Fall that you played on, right? Fall.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, that's it.
Yeah. I re-recorded that one recently, but I did it all live, so it's not as good.
So before the radio experience, which a lot of bands, at one point strived for, you guys went to New York City for a publishing contract.
Yeah, that was the thing. Like, we thought, me set this up. Mike Meese, for anybody that ever met this guy, he's the funniest fucking dude that ever was born on this earth.
Fantastic.
I don't know who put him here, what God you believe in, or he was
Whatever,
just
yeah.
from another planet altogether. But this dude was he was one of a kind. But anyway, so somehow he set this up where he sent off our cassettes at the time. Does anybody know what those are?
Right.
We do. Damn it!
Yeah.
How many songs have we recorded on cassette tape?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, he had sent these out, and I can't even remember the name of the company because he sent to so many different companies. And it got in the hands of this company called Black Rose Productions, and so we were under the impression, I was going to say under the influence, that was more so on the ride.
Right. You had
Right.
to have
There,
something.
once we got there. But we're 18, so we were like, let's get out of here, let's go do this. So I remember me and Mike Niece, we asked for, like a week off because we both worked at this horrible sewing factory that was there called Flint.
Oh, I worked at Flynn's, man.
So, and so they wouldn't let us off. They wouldn't let us take any time off. So we're like, dude, let's just walk out. Because, we had our little savings, which we thought was a lot, but we had like, $250 maybe.
Right.
But, so we just walked out one day and bought our tickets. I mean, that's how lame it was. It's not like they're flying us up there. We had to buy our own Greyhound bus tickets, And so the three of us just went there, 18 years old, hadn't really been anywhere big ever in my life, Probably the biggest place I've been was like Louisville,
Right.
which is, moderately sized, but not New York.
Yeah.
So,
Let me ask you this real quick. How long was that bus ride? And I mean, how'd you feel on the way there?
the weird thing is we got on a bus in Madisonville, and you know where Madisonville is. But instead of, going north up towards our destination, for some reason we had to go all the way down to Nashville to get on another Greyhound. So we had 3 hours of our trip was going south
Shit.
to get on another bus to go north. But yeah, I mean, it was fucked up. I mean, it was crazy because I'm trying to carry a guitar around on the bus with me. Michael, all he took, Pierpoint, all he took was his cymbals because they had it for him, and me, he had his bass. So it was horrible. And I'll tell you what, man, we each only took like 2 or 3 changes of clothes, but we each had a huge duffel bag. But what it was full of was CDs.
Oh,
Because there were
shit.
no MP3 players. Back then the store 5,000 songs on. So if you wanted to take something, you had a Discman and like fucking 30 CDs a piece.
Right.
So that was what we took with us. We're CDs, so we could swap them back and forth and listen. But I mean, it was pretty crazy, man. We got to like Washington D.C. and we were the only white people in the state, I believe.
Oh, man.
And racism, fuck that. But I'm saying, if you're the only 2 white guys, imagine if you're the only 2 black guys amongst a million white people.
Yeah, I mean,
Weird,
it's just coming from small town Kentucky and going to a big city, and it's a little bit of a culture shock. Just a little bit.
Diversity can
man.
be a motherfucker for some people, man.
And that's the thing, and that's kind of one of the main things I love about here is because there are so many different kinds of people. You know what I mean? It's like, if I'm in Kentucky, my best friends are going to be white guys, probably mostly,
Hi, I'm a white guy. How are you doing today?
A couple, I might have a couple black friends. It's like here I can be friends with like fucking any kind of person I want to be friends with because they're here,
Right.
So I don't know, man. But like New York was crazy because we got there and we couldn't find a hotel because I mean every building is like connected, so you can't tell one thing from another.
Right.
But we went there and we played and we finally found our hotel. We got there and the guy's like, which one of you's 21? We're like, nobody's 21 here. He's like, what? That's a 5-star hotel. You can't stay here unless you have a 21-year-old signing for you. So we're like,
shit.
now what are we going to do, So all of a sudden this dude that had been just chilling in the lobby pops up behind us. He's like, I'm with them. I'm like, who are you, man? And he's like, and the guy's like, "You're with him?" I said, "Yeah." And so he signs for us, and then rides the elevator up with us, and like starts reaching in his pocket. And I'm like, "Oh, he's pulling out a knife. He's robbing us right now." Because he just told us his name was Hatch.
Hatch.
So
okay.
Hatch, if you ever hear this, man, I just want you to know I appreciate what you did. Because
Hey.
you pull out a knife, you pull out a cell phone. And nobody had cell phones back then, so I was like, wow, this dude has a phone in his pocket.
Say it.
Yeah.
Space
And,
age.
and so he signed for us, and he's like, "You guys want to go to a party tonight?" And I'm like, "Is there a party tonight?" He's like, "There's always a party." So I'm like, "Yeah, man, sure, give us a call." And so he called a million times, and we never answered the phone because we were so scared.
Wow.
Whoa.
But yeah, I mean, so thanks, Hatch. I really wish we'd went and partied with you. I don't think that was you trying to kill us, but you know, you had to remember we're three Kentucky boys. Not exactly, party animals ourselves. You know, our redneck parties, but we didn't know how those New York/New Jersey parties were. So
Yeah, I'm assuming maybe those New York parties are full of Coke and martinis. That's probably what they have.
A lot of grease.
probably.
A lot of mayonnaise and hot dogs.
So one last thing I will mention, and this is only incriminating to me, so I can say it. That's okay, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean,
who
yeah,
gives a
100%, dude.
We're like, we can't buy alcohol when we get there. So what are we gonna do? So we're at this Denny's right before we left, and for some reason, they're the machine where you grab fucking stuffed animals.
Okay.
You know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah.
Prize machine. For some reason, theirs was so easy that you could like put a quarter in and like win every stuffed animal in the thing, right? So my niece was like winning like 15 freaking stuffed animals, and so we had some. I think we had what did we have? I think we had 8 days, right? 8
Okay.
doobies, talk about doobies, right? 'Cause they're gone now.
Yeah. Yeah, man. Yeah.
But anyway, so we're like, well, we can't take these. I'm not gonna get searched. So my niece comes up with this idea because they're in an Altoids container, right?
Right.
So he comes up with this idea. He's like, hey man, you guys got any needle and thread? For some reason, somebody did. Like, why the hell would one of us have needle and thread? It's like,
Hey, man.
Take this to New York with me.
Well, you never
Well,
know.
shit.
I don't know.
Maybe
I
that
don't know
was
where that came from.
maybe that was carried over from the Flynn days or something. You know, maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know, but so we had this stuffed frog, and niece cut a hole in the frog and stuffed the Altoids canister in it and sewed it back up. That's what we
Nice.
took there. And when we got there in our hotel room, we unstick the fucking frog, you know. That was my funny little story. No one incriminated me.
Yeah, man.
That's interesting, though. you know.
I mean, smoking doobies out of a frog's ass sounds like an appealing, fun time to me, though, dude. Especially.
Only my niece would have thought of that. He'd been the only one to be like, we'll tie him in the stuffed animal. If I can sew it up, So, that's what kind of person he was.
So
And,
when you
so we went, we played, and they offered us a deal, and it ended up being a really crappy deal because I didn't think that I would ever write any songs better than those songs, even though I don't play those songs anymore at all.
Right.
So you're convinced at the time, I'm never going to write anything any better than this, and we weren't going to get any money unless they sold our songs to somebody else. It's like, but nobody covers songs that are, kind of music we play.
Right.
So we ended up not signing the thing. So we ended up just spending all our money to go to New York and play. But it was fun. I mean, we got offered a contract, and I wish I'd signed it because I wouldn't have lost anything that matters to me anyway. But it did at the time.
right.
So I stood my ground and won for it.
Right. Plus, I mean, that's just an odd experience. Once you get inside the game, you figure out that that's how they roll. Whatever song that you have, they're either going to use it for you, or they're just going to take a part of it and sell it to some other untalented person to make them look cool. That's just business practices. But at a young age, like you said, I mean, that's your songs. You put all your heart and soul into those songs, and you think nothing's going to be better than that. But it's so easy to look back now at it. But at the time, it's totally understandable.
Yeah. At the time, they were my babies. I mean, I put everything into them. And my songs are still that way to me. It's just, those songs I think meant more to me at the time than a lot of my songs mean to me now, but they weren't as good as the songs that are right now. Does that make sense at all?
Yeah.
So I see now that I wish I had let them go, because I think I've written better things. It's just,
right. Yeah.
Life has turned me on to reality, so I do realize that it is a business and it's not just a passion.
Yeah. And see, the thing is, especially what you realize is there's a lot of wolves in sheep's clothing that are willing to take advantage of anyone at an impressionable age, especially out of high school.
Yeah, definitely.
What I think they were doing, didn't you say one of the guys produced the Fat Boys or so on?
Oh, he did. He had a gold record for doing the Cosby theme, or he had a Grammy. He had a Grammy for doing the Cosby theme. He wanted to produce our record.
Damn it!
But the place that we played at was Cool in the Game.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Because, man, for some reason, when you said the Cosby theme, the only thing that popped in my head was a fucking Sanford and Son theme. Because I don't even know what the fucking Cosby theme is, man.
And now the Cosby theme goes do 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 do, and he's all dancing, and then there's a montage.
Wap Zapples.
Zapples, what's up, Theo? Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
But 99, that was 1999, right? Or 98?
Yes, 99. I just graduated.
That was a weird period because...
Like 2 months after I graduated.
Okay. That was the death, more or less, the death rattle of analog music, more or less, how things were being recorded. We was going into the digital age. And I think what record people, I'll just call them record people, executives were looking for was a... well, let's see what we can do. What's market research say? Well, yeah, they like the Nirvanas. They like their Silverchairs. I think what they were eyeing you guys for was something to pitch to some pop star, really. Was to take your songs and to deconstruct them or dumb them down and throw them to a pop label. I think that if you go on the internet, you'll find out that not only was... Empathy at the time, or Downside at the time, was taken advantage of through a publishing scam. There were several others that actually not only was taken advantage of, these people succeeded. And then you look at bands like Nickelback and even I found that Jet, the band Jet, the rock band during the 70s rock revival with the Strokes and the White Stripes, the Jet had actually purchased publishing towards the B-sides to AC/DC records. And that's the reason why you'll never hear or see for sale an AC/DC B-sides collection. Because Jet owns the songs. So that's a little shady, and I can imagine also going to New York, which is a big deal, especially at that age, and then you're getting approached to be like, almost like, oh, dude, we could sign a record deal. And it could be a big deal. And the harsh reality is like they don't give a flying fuck about your integrity or your creativity. They just want to see a marketing mold.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, it's, and that is the business. And it sucks because everybody goes into it bright-eyed and bushy-tailed,
Of course.
People tell me I'm good. I can do this. I can succeed. It's like, and you think in your brain, like if music is good enough, it will get heard, and it will take me somewhere. But the reality is, look how many bands that are really good that aren't anything,
Yeah.
I mean,
right.
It's hard to find good music because there's so much bad music, and it gets disheartening trying to sort through, find good stuff. But there is really good stuff that nobody knows. Like bands I play with all the time here that are really good, and I'm like, why are they not, making money doing this? Why are they having to go and, you're gonna have to leave early. You're gonna have to leave after their set because the lead singer has to go to work tomorrow.
Right.
Yet, some of the crap that is on the radio is, they're not working tomorrow, but their music is horrible.
They don't even have to work, period.
So, yeah, they have to do anything.
There's no effort in it.
But yeah, Darren, we're gonna take a small break here on the Stiff Oddcast. We'll be right back with Darrin Lee Johnson. We are back with the Stiff Oddcast, April 29th, 2014 edition with Darrin Johnson. Darrin Johnson, just want to say just real quick before we move to different subjects. Right after the New York experience, how did you feel when you came back to Kentucky?
Well, you feel good and bad. Like, felt kind of bad because it didn't turn out the way we had expected it to. I mean, we were offered a deal and we didn't take it. But at the same time, it felt kind of good because it felt like you'd accomplished something because nobody that we knew around there had, went anywhere and done anything like that.
Right.
So, feel like sort of like you're the cream of the crop, but then you also feel like, you're still a small fish in a small, or, a big fish in a small pond.
Right.
So.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess
But,
perspective.
it was a depressing era, though. Like, we kind of quit playing music. Beast went to the Navy because, he was looking for a ticket out of there, as is most, out of Newburgh, as is most people, I guess.
Yeah, that's what a lot of people do, man. They join the military because A, it's money, and B, gets you the fuck out of here.
And it's a guaranteed job, so
Right.
that's what they did. But he came back and we played, and it was, from the Navy, and we played, and kept pushing forward, and then finally, that's when I started playing with you guys, which was an awesome period. We played, I would play like 3 shows, but, still cool to get back out and play again. I thought it was really cool.
Yeah, but you see,
So-
we was pulling double duty during that time
Yeah.
too.
Right, yeah, you
And
guys were...
Darren, I just want to get this out there, man. That's the first time I've ever went to a practice where there was always a cooler full of beer.
Yeah.
To me that was an experience because I've never. I'm not saying this is a bad or a good thing. Actually, it's a great thing for me. I never played or practiced inebriated in any way. When I say inebriated, just loose. And to me, it was a nice practice experience.
I
Yeah,
realized.
man. It's a lot of fun. A lot
Yeah.
of fun to get back in and
Yeah.
play, and it didn't get to develop into what it could have if it had been a longer time. But then, all of a sudden, I get the opportunity to move. So
Right.
why not take it?
Yeah.
Right.
We
Wow, the last thing that matters from Minneapolis was the Soul Asylum. Let's go change that.
right.
Oh
right.
shit.
Yeah.
But then you get here and you realize, wow, there's already people here that are doing it. It's just they're not getting the attention that they deserve.
Right.
But, I mean, it's good and bad because, like I say, I miss family. I haven't seen my dad and my sisters. My sister grew up and got married and has a kid now, and I haven't seen her since she was like, a freshman. So,
Damn.
So your
so it
uncle.
sucks, miss your family and seeing them grow up in Italia and stuff. But at the same time, it's really cool to live here too.
At the time when you first started playing with people, there was only like a handful of rock bands in the South Central Kentucky area, right? There was like, was it a band called Space Heater or Space Hog or some shit? Who was it?
Yeah, there's a couple bands. We had, I think the big band at the time, too, I think it's because they were older. They were kind of the first band to come out of that. Hey, everybody likes Nirvana, and now Kurt Cobain killed himself, so they're a band. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
That era was this band called Fuzzwood. I think those guys still play.
That's Fuzzwood. Okay, I remember Fuzzwood.
With different members and stuff. And, they're cool. Like now, the stuff I've heard is not exactly my cup of tea, but back then I thought they were awesome. And then most people did because they had, they were older and they had a little more, notoriety. And so then we started playing, and then little, bands started popping up everywhere. And I remember, actually, this was the day that we practiced those songs when we were going to go on the radio. Now, and you guys brought over a demo that you had recorded called "Escape the Rain" EPR, and
Yeah.
you played it before played, and I was like, it like blew me away. It like made me jealous because I was like, what? Nobody else is supposed to play songs around here but me.
Right.
You know, and even if they do, they're not supposed to be good. You know.
Well, yeah, but you're totally the one that spearheaded the inspiration to do that.
Because I had to learn how to use tape, and I traded my entire social life, the better part of it, from the age of 16 to about 20, recording and writing stuff. I mean, that stuff, I'm still trying to figure out to this day if it was really worth it. But I did. Like, that was, it's like I couldn't understand things that you were doing with your guitars, like on the Empathy recordings and the demos you would do. I'd be like, what the fuck, how does it sound so full, and the drums sound decent, and the bass is there, and inadvertently.
That's what I felt when you brought that disc over, because it's like, oh, well, somebody took the ball and ran with it.
Well, I hadn't
really done anything in a while.
I remember you.
Like, wow, this is just double guitars here, and
Well,
it was your average 4-track that you hear somebody do.
Right. Well, what I was trying to do is I was trying to assume, basically, what you were doing with. Of course, you had the only difference is on your recorder you had a Dolby noise reduction, which is handy, especially for high gain situations. Man, it'll kind of cut it down a little bit and compress it. But I had no idea. A lot of the stuff that I did, where there would be it sounds like 4 guitars, would be punching out. Like, I would have what would initially be a vocal track. I would just dub a guitar briefly on there, a solo there be briefly, or a double track of vocal there briefly.
Right. Yeah, man.
But the thing
was... Those are the kind of tricks you had to do.
Yeah.
You were limited. Because, and I actually thought, because I hadn't read anything about the Beatles doing anything, I thought I had, invented and figured out how to do multi-track, by bouncing down, and then you got the 2 empty tracks. Like, I'd never read that anywhere. That just, occurred to me that you could do that,
Yeah.
Like, have a complete mix down, and then mix that whole 4 tracks down, and you got the 2 empty tracks on the next tape,
Right.
It's just the little tricks that you learn, and then you read about it, and you're like, oh, the Beatles did that in 1964.
Yeah.
So...
Sgt. Pepper was a 4-track album. The Sgt. Pepper was done entirely in 4 tracks.
Yep. And brilliantly, and just cool. It was cool at the time to think I had figured out secrets, because I guess I had. But
I remember you telling me you had a song called Kentucky that you written that had about 20 guitars. And,
that was actually, that was Michael Pierpoint's song.
Okay.
But we both sang it. It was a complete weird parody song. I don't remember the exact number of guitars, but it was insane. We just had so many different little, a little wah guitar just pops in the right just out of nowhere, And we had 17 different voices all doing ad-libs stuff. See, that was the fun era of doing stuff, because you could do whatever you wanted to do.
I was also assumed around this time, also, to me, I don't know, I'm still kind of learning myself, but I figured out that headphones will lie to you. You cannot mix anything on headphones.
Nope.
Headphones will lie to you.
Big time. Because you can have it strapped on your head and be like, whoa, yeah, that's the final mix, bro. And then you put it on someone's...
Dr. Dre's headphones would really lie to you.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, dude.
Yes, they will.
Something with no bass at all.
Yeah.
You tried to turn it down and...
my buddy
normal.
Paul Roberts got me a set of those for Christmas this year, and it's I thoroughly enjoy them. I would play my my Wii U with those headphones on, but as far as mixing music, it boosts the mid range. Is it's I don't know, it's pushed a lot higher, I guess. I don't know. But when you listen to that same song on normal speakers, it doesn't have that kind of response to it.
It's definitely it's a consumer headphone, and I think it has a equalization preamp where basically it's a circuit that just has your mid-range equalization set at a certain area, and your bass What I've noticed is it lies a lot on your low end. It's good as an observer, like for post mix and mastering. Like if you're mastering and you're combing through your mix to see if there's any anomalies or whatnot, it's good for that. It's good for the consumer. It's good for the average listener, but not for tracking at all.
Right.
It's a complete lie from start to finish, because you know you can take a Stratocaster, you put a bass on a Telecaster, and it's like, where's that bass coming from? You know. So.
Right.
But you recorded, if a lot of people in Muhlenberg County are aware of Empathy cassette tapes, they have them. A lot of this stuff that you recorded that with was on a Silvertone Sears guitar. Is that correct?
Yes, I still have it. Yeah,
Okay.
You had one of them.
Yes, I do.
It looked exactly alike.
Yes, and you bought them for
Weird, because
$1.
I've never seen any others.
And you bought them for
Have
$1
you
at a
seen
yard sale, right?
What's that?
How much was it at a yard sale for those guitars?
The first one was $10, and my dad bought it for me from an old bass player that I used to play with from around there for $10, and it was missing a whole tuning peg and tuning key, like the whole machine up there was gone. So I had to fix that out of some old guitar parts that I had. And so I didn't know how old the guitar was, but it was through a fire, and it was painted like this horrible orange color. So I ended up sanding it down, like of course I didn't have a belt sander, so I just did it with sandpaper. And I took the pick guard off, and it said 1965 on it.
Shit.
The one I have is 1964.
It's pretty old. And then I ended up with another one from a yard sale. It looked exactly like it.
Yeah.
And it was blonde. And Blondie is what I called it. And I remember we made a trade, and I traded that. What was it? Was it that and like a crappy bass with some fretless strings on it for your Area Pro?
Yeah, my Area Pro 2, which had a DB booster and the bridge pickup. I think it was a low-end DiMarzio pickup in it. It was a nice guitar. I got that from Josh Majors.
That was really good, man. I mean, that's
Maple
why I traded it. It
fretboard.
was better than anything I had. And I think yours was a 66, right? The one that I traded to you?
It's a 64, made on the pickguard. It's November 12th, 1964. But you know what's interesting about those guitars, Darrin? They're actually originally three-tone sunburst. They were manufactured for Sears by Silvertone with D-Armand pickups. Those are TV Jones single coils, the prototypes. So the big stinger about this is they're worth quadruple the amount. We're talking $400 to $300 on the vintage guitar market, with all original parts. And I still have the one that I got from you. Right now, it's missing the bridge because I had the wooden part to it. The nut, of course, where you've switched it around for a lefty, is still there. The only biggest problem about it is the electronics are fantastic, dude. The tuning pegs are awful. They don't age well, and that's the only big problem with it. And I got to fix the bridge, but other than that, I've used it considerably. I love the tone of it. It's somewhere between a Telecaster or like a Les Paul Jr. type sound if you put it in the right setting.
It's pretty crazy. The other one, I dropped it because it had a cord plug in it, and since I switched it around, the strap doesn't quite hold right because it's a shorter cutaway.
Yeah.
So it fell off. It used to fall off all the time, and I would tape it on there. But I remember it fell and it busted the whole pick guard. So the part where you plug in, your input into your guitar. I remember at practice, I was like, "What can I do?" Because it's just flopping around. So we had just finished a can of Pringles. So I somehow poked a hole in that, and so part of my guitar is a Pringles lid input. I never changed it because it's like, why? That's kind of cool. So the input to that guitar is 1/4 of a slice of a Pringles lid.
Yeah, were they original flavored Pringles?
I'm pretty sure it was sour cream and onion.
Oh,
I think
shit.
that was like the standard, like everybody could agree that they like that. Because some people like the barbecue, but then some are like, oh, it's a little spicy.
So the point I guess I was trying to make is, I guess it's very punk rock / grunge that you tracked a lot of. Most people, have that memory of listening to Empathy tapes and hearing that guitar, or Misled, which is the opening track to the cassette tape Rocker Baby Casanova, which on the cover I had. Who's the baby on the cover of that? Is that you? That isn't you, is it?
Man.
Wasn't that a teacher's kid?
Think it is. I had a nephew on one, and then I don't know. We made so many covers for the Rocker Baby, right? That's the one, Rocker Baby Casanova.
Yeah.
I don't even have a copy of it myself, man. I don't even know what that stuff sounds like. I would cringe. I'd be like,
Yeah, I'm the same way about everything I hear too about shit I did.
Well, because I was even recording guitars, just plugging a pedal straight into the board.
Yeah.
Because I didn't know that's not how you do it. You mic a damn amp, and are you stupid? But I figured that out later. But whatever. It was what it was. I know where I am now, and I know I play a lot better.
Darrin, we're going to take a small, quick break. We're going to switch phones. This one's dying. We'll be right back with the Stiff Oddcast.
Penis.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, Darrin, this has been fantastic talking to you on the Stiff Oddcast. It's been a while, man.
You guys too, man. This is real. We haven't talked in a long time, so they're actually getting our conversation.
Yeah.
In a way, this has always been kind of my goal with the Stiff Oddcast, is to record these conversations. A lot of people don't have the ability or even think about doing that kind of thing. I think to be able to capture this and have it forever is just, I don't know, a progressive way to to connect with people.
Well, if anything, it just documents the fact that the kind of relationship we have with our friends isn't a temporary quick fix. We can go on for hours with our friends about anything. But before the battery went dead there on the phone, what I was alluding to, for folks out there that thinking about, I don't care how old you are right now, you can be 16, you can be 5 months old, I don't care. When you're getting into music and playing guitar or bass, sometimes you don't have to opt out for the $600 Fender guitar. But what Darrin recorded the basis for the majority of the mid-'90s to late '90s and the early 2000s was on some fairly cheap guitars, although they're not really cheap now because vintage collectors would eat them up. But the point is although Darrin, you were talking about how you just plugged directly into the mixer of your 4-track from a distortion pedal, you managed to convey everything you wanted to do.
Right, and it's always like trying to push further, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, well, this is what I have now, but this doesn't mean this is always what I'm going to do, so why not be creative with what you have?
Exactly. Yeah, and it's all in your fingers too, bro. It's all in your fingers. Like, Eric Clapton or Jimi Hendrix or a lot of modern guitar players too, no matter what you hand them, they can be themselves on that instrument.
Well, and it's like John Lennon, let me quote John Lennon for a minute, and this is probably, totally screwing up his quote. But, well, I won't even quote it. But basically, the gist of it was, I can write a song on anything. Give me a damn French horn, and I'll write something on it. I'll use what I have to be creative and try to express myself.
Exactly.
So I think that's what you're trying to say. It's like, it doesn't matter. You don't have to shell out $1 million for a guitar. You can write really good songs on a $10 guitar that you get from a yard sale.
Yep. So after the Silvertone, and then you went into the Aria Pro 2 guitar, which I thought it was a solid guitar as well. You moved on to the Epiphone Special 2, which is the budget Les Paul that's still available to this day, and you got it in a 2-tone sunburst. Is that right? And left-handed?
Like a tobacco sunburst. Yeah, I still have that one. It's just in part. Well, it's not in part. It's all together. It's just missing all the frets and a nut.
But
I bought some of those damn Zach Wild low strings.
oh shit!
My cheap nuts couldn't handle that big either.
Dude, yeah, that's like bass strings. It's like
broke it. So
you moved on. You had that.
Not,
You also had the budget Ibanez guitar, which is the GRX. I want to say 10 or 12. It came in jewel blue and black, and I think you had the. Is it the black one?
Yeah, I had the black one because you couldn't. They wouldn't order the left-handed one in blue. Like you could only get. It wasn't available, I guess. So I had the black one. I still had that one too. Actually, just put not recently last year. I put some new. I think I put some of those blackouts.
Really?
You know, the actives. Yeah.
Damn.
I tried to do it myself, but I'm completely electronically illiterate.
I tried too when I bought my pickups for my SG. A friend of mine was like, "Yeah, dude, we could totally do that." We took the back plate off and we looked at the wire and we were like, no. It's like this. I had a soldering gun, and you know, I can barely drop solder, so that was a pain in the ass. But
yeah, I spent like 4 or 5 hours on it because you know when you're going from a guitar that's passive to trying to put active electronics in it, it's if you don't know what you're doing, it's not easy.
Darrin, can you explain? Could you explain how frustrating it must be to be a left-handed guitar player? Like, as far as purchasing.
Beyond frustrating because, you know, down there, like Owensboro Music Center, you know, that's like the place people go, you know. It's like they had just as many left-handed guitars in their arsenal as the store does here.
right.
Like, it's ridiculous. Like, I'm in the city, man. I'm in the big city, and every guitar store has, like, 3 at the most. And they're usually 2 Squires and a Epiphone Les Paul that is, like, a good model, not the cheap one, but, you know, like say a $600.
Yeah, like the custom or, yeah.
So, I mean, you know, it's very frustrating. And, you know, this day and age you can get stuff online, but, you know, you want to feel a guitar. You don't want to be like, oh, that one looks nice in the picture.
Right.
You know, the Guitar Player 27 is selling on eBay.
Right, man. I couldn't tell you the last thing I bought off eBay. I don't know if this is still going on, but PayPal still seems a little shady to me.
Yeah. It's a little
Yeah.
difficult.
Yeah, I don't like that stuff either. Let's see. I think maybe the last thing I bought was my drum pad years ago. So, not really into the whole eBay thing. And then I get stuff online. I get my shoes online sometimes. But, you know, an instrument that's going to be what I play for the next however long, you know, I don't want to get that online.
Right. So, the Les Paul Special 2 and the GRX Ibanez, which
Yeah, it sounds really awesome.
they both sounded really good. I noticed you used the Les Paul on on the lower tuning stuff, and it really was. It sounded so fat. It's like, damn, that guitar's heavy as shit too. That's a big brick of wood on that son of a bitch. I tell you that. I remember picking it up and I was like, shit.
Darrin, do you think that wood really has an effect on the way a electric guitar sounds?
I would like to think that everything has an effect on a guitar. You know what I mean? It's like, now do I know enough to have a preference? I'm not going to be like, oh, I want my guitar to be made out of, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
I don't know. You know, being left-handed, I've only ever had the guitars that I have, you know? And so I'm sure everything can change the sound a little bit. I mean, it's like, that's why I like guitar processors and stuff, like that you can run straight in and it, you know, has an amp emulator on there. It's like, I like them, but there's no way that, you know, you're going to get a tone and it's like, this is Tony Iommi's tone, because, no, you know, maybe if you have Tony Iommi's guitar, that is his tone.
Right.
But it's not going to make, if you're playing a Fender Strat, it's not going to make your Fender Strat sound like Tony Iommi's Gibson SG, you know?
Right.
It depends on the guitar.
See,
Yeah.
which brings up the question, and I guess the overall feelings is like, what do you think about like programs like Guitar Rig and USB, or I guess DAW systems, where you can just plug up your guitar to the computer and basically almost get anything sound that you want. It used to, the only thing you had to deal with was a pedal board or something like that. You had to get maybe 10 to 12 different pedals to get.
Maybe a rack unit that would cost you about $1,300 that would have speaker emulation and cabinet emulation or whatever.
Yeah.
We've moved on substantially because I remember, both of us are children more or less of the analog days, and
Right.
if one of us had called and been like, I bought a Boss DS1 distortion pedal, the whole game changes. Or a chorus pedal will change, like the whole aspect of your playing. Nowadays,
Right, all of a sudden you've got like 3 or 4 new songs that incorporate chorus.
exactly.
And this new tool to play with. Yeah.
Nowadays, it's all a matter of a couple clicks, and you have this plug-in. It's like, holy shit! And some of these plug-ins are phenomenal.
Yeah.
Some of them are really good. Like, I've been using a Vox on Guitar Rig for this Vox AC30 that just, it's like the best, like, overdriven, clean sound I've ever gotten. It's like it works for so much stuff. But,
Yeah, I mean, it's like, I guess we have to use the technology that's given to us in some ways. Like, if I had that, I would totally use it and stuff. Now, at the same time, I want to sound just as good live, so I'm going to work at that too, you know what I mean? But
Right.
if I had those tools, I'd probably use them. But the one thing that I don't like ever is auto-tune. Fix vocals.
Oh, dude, that ruins. So you can do whatever the fuck you want with bass, guitar, keyboard, flute, fucking oboe, but when you start to mess with vocals, that's where I draw the line.
you're fucking with the soul of the song there. I do feel that there's a difference. The common misconception is back in the late 70s, early 80s, there's a thing called a vocoder, which was a waveform that was attached to synthesizers that allowed a microphone to be attached, and what you played on your fingerboard or the keypad was what you were singing. It wasn't so much an auto-tune as it was a relationship between your synth tones and your voice.
Sound like a talk box?
And it was invented by the German electronic group Kraftwerk, and it was a box. They were experimenting with all these kinds. I think Yamaha made it for them or something, but it doesn't matter. Auto-tune is way different from that, and that's a common misconception. Auto-tune is, of course, a plug-in, more or less, that does a pitch correction towards anything, the algorithm is programmed for. Like the guitar, the rhythm track is in A, so it automatically sets it to A or an A minor, an A major. It's a little cheaty. I don't think it works if you're trying to convey something serious. I think Cher was the first artist to really bring that into the mainstream.
Oh, yeah.
Well, it seems like Madonna did it first, though.
Yeah, Madonna did a lot of crazy shit as well. It's just, I remember, with Cher's radio
Do
signals.
you believe in love?
And that was a big deal. But now let's go to your current setup. After writing a million songs on your GRX Ibanez and utilizing your Epiphone Les Paul, which is a solid brick of guitar, you moved on and finally got what a lot of guitar players would love to have is the signature spec Tony Iommi SG. What was your thoughts and impressions of handling that son of a bitch when you got it?
The first thing you notice is that it has 2 extra frets, and I've never had a 24 fret guitar before. Because most standard guitars are usually 22, 22 to 24, 22 or 24 is what you had. But I'd never had one that was 24, and it is the only Epiphone SG that has 24 frets.
Yes.
So you feel it's a little bit longer, and that was something I remember talking to my niece about, because he went from a bass with 20 frets, which was his PV, that DuPont has now, I think, yeah. And to the Yamaha bass that he had, it 24 frets, and he's like, dude, it makes my hand do stupid stuff.
Dude,
Longer,
see,
you know?
I love it, man. I also rep the Yamaha and Hofner, but yeah, my Yamaha, man, the scale is just like, man, it's like if I'm just fucking around, I can just play a whole riff in a higher octave, you know.
Yeah, for sure.
And then to me, it's just really fun. It just adds a different dynamic to it. It's just, I don't think it's necessary, but it's definitely really cool to have.
Yeah, for sure. I love it. Especially for solos, because there's a couple songs now that I have to play actually on that guitar because I do go up that high, you know. So, I mean, I could, you know, go hit some lower note, but it wouldn't do what I want it to do, you know.
Right. And it's cool just having that ability to go that far with it.
Right. I mean, you got 2 full scale lengths, you know,
Yeah.
per string, so.
It also, those guitars feature the Tony Iommi signature humbuckers. What was?
Yeah.
What was?
Yeah, that's had to turn everything down after that, you know, because there's such high gains of passives, but there's such high gains still that, like, compared to what I was using before, which were the stock pickups and whatever guitar I had.
Right.
You plug in automatically, you're getting feedback a little bit, you know, and it's only because your, you know, guitars, you know, have such more gain, you know, so you have to factor that in, you know. But after that, it's pretty smooth, you know. It's not hard to figure out that, wow, I don't have to do as much with this guitar because it is so much more responsive with these pickups.
Right. Yeah, that's one of the things I liked about the bridge pickup I got in my SG is that DiMarzio Super 3 distortion pickup or whatever. From what I understood, it was like the most, you know, I don't know, responsive pickup you can get without going active completely. And it changed my playing considerably. At least nuances and pinch harmonics and
Is it pitch or pinch? Is it pinch harmonics or pitch?
It's both.
Or is it Zach Wilde doing it 24/7 on every song that he's ever played?
Yeah. Well, I think it is both, actually, isn't it, Darren? Their pitch harmonics response. It's more like the.
Yeah, I've heard it both, man. I've heard it both.
Me too.
So I say pitch, but I've seen, you know, some of my friends who are really great guitar players, they pinch. So
Yeah.
I know I'm not pinching a damn thing when I'm doing it. So
Right.
But see,
I call it pitch. But
Yeah.
I mean, I think that particular guitar technique is cool in small dosages.
yes, I agree.
It's just like when we was playing an ETR, I was playing a lot of bands that used the China cymbal, and that was a big fad, and I fucking hated it.
After
man.
a while, yeah, you practice when Bob had one. It was a Pulse, and you know, after a while, your ears are just like,
What the fuck? It's too much, man.
it cuts
It's too
through
much.
everything.
It's a good flavor to throw in. Like if you're like, this part needs that.
Yeah.
But it's like every song is not. It's just like drummers that so overdo the double kick.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know, it fits in to a lot of parts, but I hate when that is all a drummer does because it's like I can't tell how good you really are at anything else, and you don't have to know how good somebody is. I'm just saying, it's like that's not pleasant to my ear to hear all the time.
Right. That's why I appreciate Joe Strainer and Abe Cunningham from Deftones, because they're single bass pedals players, and they're also very heavy too.
Yep.
Yeah, man.
So when we was playing with Grant in Post Effect, that is what we loved about him, was the fact that he was a single bass drum player, and also it made him more creative in a way, just because he had to be more inventive with his toms.
Yeah.
And everything else.
He would tune his mid and low toms lower register, and that way when he would do a roll or a triplet, so to speak, or whatever, it would sound like an emulated double bass maneuver, and you just wouldn't think it.
It just sound really big, yeah.
Yeah, it's really interesting. But So, all right. So the Tony Iommi SG Signature SG is, I think it retails now for what, like $500-600 maybe. I think. I was thinking about putting links to the guitars you're playing now, just for folks to take a look at.
Yeah, we'll put that in the description of the video when we upload it at the Stiff Archives at YouTube.
You play a custom head, right? Still?
No, man, I've got way cooler stuff than that now. I still have that old custom head, but and I was using it for a while, and I had a Pod XT, and I was letting the Pod XT be all my effects.
Dude, I love that fucking
Dude,
Pod
that
XT,
pedal
man.
kicks
Oh my
ass,
god,
dude. Grant had one
I still use it. I still use it in my loop, but it doesn't provide like my distortions
Dude,
anymore.
that was inspiration for me to get my bass pod, dude. I was like, Darrin's is so badass.
Yeah.
But what I don't like about my bass pod though is, I don't know. It's to me it feels cheap, but I've only been able to get probably like 2, maybe 3 sounds that I would still use today. But at the time, it was really badass. But the bass synth that's on it is pretty in depth, man. The waveforms, what you can shape those is awesome. I use it on the album, and it is very thick and doesn't feel cheap when you listen to it either.
Yeah, it's got a fantastic synth engine in it. That's probably one of the biggest selling points of that particular processor. Definitely.
Yeah, I'm definitely a fan of some Line 6 stuff, I mean, they went that digital route, so, a lot of that stuff is emulated stuff, but it sounds good, If it sounds good, it really doesn't matter to me.
So what are you playing with now?
So, that's what I was using for a while, and then Ben, my bass player, he was like, hey man, at this guitar store, down from me, they have a TV Triple X, which is pretty badass head. So I was like, well, how much do they want? He's like $500, and
Isn't that what breaking
used to go for like $1,000 and stuff, So I was like, cool, let's go check it out. So I go and I plug in, and I took the Tony with me, that's what I had at the time when I went, and I plug it in, and it's Feedback City. And I'm like, this sucks. This sounds horrible. And it's only because every amp that I've ever had to have the gain turned all the way up to get what I wanted out of it. You know what I mean? Like, juice from my sound. But this guitar, so I just turned that all the way down, and I was like, what? So then and it was quiet. So then I turned it up. So my gain on my amp, which is my main rhythm, guitar sound is, live guitar sound is set to like 5.
Jesus.
And that is heavy as hell.
Huh.
Shit.
It rocks. So you've got that much more to go, which, if, I could utilize that for solos and stuff if I put like a gate on it.
I was about to say, a noise suppressor. Yeah.
But there's no need because it sounds good anyway, right where it's at. So it has 2 channels on it. It has a lead channel that I turn the gain up a little more on that channel, and I kind of keep them matched just so like for my solos and stuff. And then I just use the Pod XT is in my loop as like my chorusing and my delays and all that.
Nice.
But,
what particular?
it's really awesome. Really
What tuning are you using now at this particular? I know it changes a lot, but this week, what particular tuning are you using?
This particular week, let's see. I got the 7-string guitar now too. It's a Douglas. It's a nice one. I keep it standard because it's got the low B anyway, so why not keep that?
Yeah.
For the Tony, I keep it at a whole step down. That's what I play it in. The Ibanez, I keep it half step.
Okay.
And let's see. For the acoustics, I have 1 standard and I have 1 half step. So
Okay.
pretty much keep it in all the time.
I know you have posted more than 2 acoustic demos here lately, but was one of those a half step down?
Probably, yeah. Like, well, the thing, because a lot of the stuff I'm recording now, I have to do in my apartment, and so I'm tuning the high notes.
Right.
But I can't. I got to be loud to get them. So a lot of times, I'll tune down a half a step, and it helps out that much to not piss my neighbors off.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like I can hit that note slightly softer than I had to do the other. So I've been recording a lot of acoustic stuff, kind of half step down.
Yeah. Any musician worth their salt would tell you that a half step down, especially playing live, is so much easier to sing over. A lot of bands do that. I notice that Queens does that a lot. I know they switch a lot of tunings, but
they're all usually a whole step down.
Yep.
But it works all around for that band just because it has this bridge between metal and rock music that I felt is long overdue. That a lot of rock musicians, because I see guitar music in a linear sense. A lot of people don't understand this, and I'm sure you do though, Darrin. That punk rock music introduced an aggressive playing style, with distortion and stuff like that, and it's fine. But metal introduced even more aggressive version of that. It's more distorted, but it added a technicality to it that I think a lot of people got turned off to because they're like, well, I can't play that, therefore I don't care. But it isn't so much a showcase of technicality. In some cases, like Eddie Van Halen, I'm starting to give him more credit because he managed to put his technicality into a form of a song. Otherwise, Van Halen would have never went anywhere, really, if it wasn't for his ability to do that,
Right.
That's,
That's what put them, that's what separated them from the pack.
Yeah, because
people could recognize, well, they're not just your average 80s bear. There's something going on here,
And I've also come to realize that, and I'm not ashamed to admit that James Hetfield is a huge influence in my guitar playing.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
I love James Hetfield. As far as his rhythm guitar is what put Metallica on the map, as far as I'm concerned. You take his guitar out of it, it's like, yeah, Kirk's all right. His solos are amazing, but it's like,
main songwriter, him and Lars,
yeah,
songwriter.
dude, we was watching.
I
I was gonna say we was watching the binge. Was it Shit Binge and Purge?
Live Shit Binge and Purge, like 1988 or 92.
No, I think it was 89 or 88.
Yeah, it was badass. Like, that was a fucking good. There's no one can take that away from Metallica. They were badass.
They were fucking awesome. I know that was a post, obviously, Cliff Burton thing. A lot of people say they don't care about Metallica after Cliff died, which, I can see that argument. But, dude, Metallica still had so much going on during that time period.
That's after Cliff.
The what?
Justice is still my favorite Metallica album, and that's post-Cliff. That's the one right after, But
yeah,
still,
right.
It's my favorite.
Yeah, it's, I don't know, man. Rhythm guitar playing in a lot of bands is kind of downplayed, mainly because live sound people don't turn it up. Like, I always be like, I see them playing the guitar, I don't hear it, They used to piss me off about a lot of old Beatles recordings, because I see John and I'll barely hear him for like a split second or something.
See, man, that's how I feel about the bass, man.
Yeah, well, bass cuts through anything. Though.
Sometimes, man, it seems like bass to me still hasn't made it to the forefront that it should be at. And also, Darrin, you can also attest this. And I, being a bass player, man, bass is the hardest fucking thing to record.
It's very hard.
Oh yeah, for sure, man. To get it to fall in where it needs to be, and to add enough compression to it to get the low end to match when you go up higher. Because it's difficult. Like I got a Dean bass that I bought. No, it's not a Dean. What is it? It's over here in the corner. A left-handed bass. A Washburn Taurus. A left-handed bass that I got from a pawn shop for like $100. And dude, it sounds great. Like, it is by far the easiest bass I've ever had to record with. Like, I can plug straight in and just add a little compression to it, and it cleans up really nice. And
see, that's what I've been. That's what the recordings we've been doing here lately. We've been going straight through, and also I got some nylon bass strings.
Yeah, Roto Sound.
Roto Sound. it took me a little while to get them broke in because they're so fucking clanky, man. Even now, I've had them for about 6 months. Actually, might be almost close to a year, and they're still just so bright that they clank so much. And the separation between my E string and my A string is hard to get down.
Yeah. Well,
so when I do a bass take, man, I do it maybe 5 to 6 times. It's because I don't know. Sometimes they really get into the song, and I might hit a note too hard or something. You know, be like, I'm rocking this A out too much. But when you're playing a guitar or tracking a guitar, you don't have to worry about that really. But with the bass, you easily get over distorted, and it sounds like a fart.
Right.
It's horrible to have to, like, because you're trying to get into your song, and you're recording your song, and you're trying to, you know, feel it. You don't want it to sound artificial. You want it to sound like it has feeling, and it's really hard to do that if you have things to worry about, like, if I hit it too hard, though, it's going to, you know, boom. So it kind of takes you out of the song, and you probably don't get the best performance you could get, you know?
Right. So it makes me worry, you know, like about my runs. When I start doing a run, I'm like, damn it, I got to fucking ease. I got to pump the brakes a little bit.
Another thing you have to think about, I can hit this note this hard, but this one I have to hit a little bit softer.
Right.
When it should just be like, let's just play this fucking thing. You know?
Yeah, just play it like I'm playing it live, you know, at a show or something.
But yeah, bass is hard to record, for sure.
It's extraordinarily hard. And what's interesting about these nylon strings, I was doing a Google search on the Hofner, because, you know...
that's my Cadillac, man. You know,
if you haven't played one, pick one up, dude. It's absolutely the lightest and most easiest bass ever to play. It's got a...
I would love to.
Dude, the fretboard...
it's thin, dude.
It's so thin.
And it's so lightweight, obviously, because it's semi-hollow body.
Actually, it's fully hollow. It's hollow, you know, from top to bottom. Yeah.
But
how loud is it if you play it without it being plugged in? Is it pretty
loud as fuck?
Pretty good.
Yeah, you know what's going on. So far, only problems I've ran into it is the fact that it is a completely different characteristic when you record, you know, with a Hofner violin bass, because it's more thumpy and more mid-range, as opposed to my Yamaha BB404, which is this bright and clanky. You know, you could slap pop the fuck out of that thing. You know, it will, you know, not override the mix.
It'll respond fairly well.
But yeah, this basically my only problem I ever have is just getting used to recording to a different style of bass.
So when I was doing a Google search on the Hofner, and I was like, what's the recommended type of string to put on these hollow body basses, and everybody across the board was like, you gotta spend some money and get the Roto Sound nylon strings. So we ordered them. It turns out
it wouldn't fit the scale.
It was too long. It's supposed to be a short scale, but I guess they sent us longer strings.
That's cool, man. My Yamaha got a nice
Yes,
set.
it did, because right now the bass sound we got out of that Yamaha is it's very unique now, because it has the brightness of a short scale bass with a long scale and Yamaha electronics, and it sounds pretty fucking awesome. You know, it's interesting.
Cool, man. Yeah, very cool. Very cool. That's another thing, like using what you got, you know, to you know, come up with something new. So, definitely.
As far as I know, man, it seems like Alan and I, you, and Kevin Willoughby's the only people holding down the home recording.
No one's doing any music anymore.
I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of people doing.
Records. I haven't heard anything he's done, but he's got a 4-track that he records stuff on now. Michael, you know,
Pierpoint, yeah.
He told me he had some stuff. I haven't heard it though. I mean, he hasn't posted anything, but.
Well, I'm sure it's a little stressful for him.
Because Michael, he could always write songs, you know, and now he says he's pretty good at guitar, so I'm totally down to hear it.
Seems like he's always been kind of good. I mean, no, well, I don't want to say kind of good. It seems like he's always had like a affinity towards playing guitar.
He has the will to it, man. I'm sure he can tell.
Right, yeah. I mean, he wrote some riffs in Downside, you know, totally like Born Again Killer. That was mainly all his riff. I had the solo section there, like the solo part, and Not Quite, that song too. That was him and me together. Like he had main riff, and then I had that coda that it goes to at the end, you know?
Yeah.
Right.
So, I mean, we had songs we wrote together that way, and you wrote on guitar.
Yeah, it seems like a drummer would be the guitar guy because he knows where to come in, where to go. You know.
Maybe.
I've never heard of a drummer that was a really awesome frontman.
Yeah.
Have you ever heard about that?
It is a rare thing. I will say that. Of course, you know, Dave Grohl and Phil Collins kind of put that shit on.
Oh man, really?
Definitely. Yeah. But I mean,
Yeah. Did they play keyboard for fucking Steel Panther or something?
Probably.
Colin, isn't he in Death Leopard?
Yeah. The leopard that lost him.
Speaking of Dave Grohl, man, did you hear the rumors about Joan Jett playing with Chris and Dave for their Hall of Fame induction?
It wasn't
Nirvana?
a rumor; it was a fact.
Is it fact now?
Yeah, it happened.
Yeah,
It already happened. Shit, where have I been?
Yeah, it happened, man. It happened. Somebody else did a song too, but she did an actual set.
Damn.
Yeah.
I think it's.
Can't remember who else.
I think it was a smart move because it's a slap in the fucking face of Courtney Love because she's a trashy whore.
Did you see
And,
the
like-
thing they released, I think they released today. Did you see the thing that they released after 20 years that they found in Kurt's pocket?
Yeah.
Kurt's what? Kurt's
Yeah,
what?
There's a note in Kurt's wallet.
Oh.
Oh.
Just released today. Did you know about that?
No.
Oh, it says, and, you know, some people are like, oh, that's not his handwriting, but the cops just released it, like, today or yesterday, and it was a note that was folded up, and it was from the Phoenix Hotel, but it was which is in L.A., it was in Kurt's wallet, and it says, do you, Kurt Cobain, take Courtney Love to be your lawfully shredded wife, even because she has pimples on her face and is taking all your money or something. That was written down in his wallet.
Whoa.
So,
Yeah.
but you know, that completely goes against like when he's like, Courtney, please carry on. You have to do it. You're an awesome wife. You know.
Huh. I
Oh,
mean,
man, I just saw it earlier. It's kind of crazy, like right before you guys called or whatever.
shit. Because I remember a couple weeks ago seeing the more crime scene photos. Like it was a picture of a cigar box filled with heroin materials, and there's an empty pack of American Spirit cigarettes, which I didn't know that Kurt smoked those. I don't know. Did you see those pictures?
Yeah, I did. That's why it's like, well, how is this just now coming out? Like, this seems like
Exactly.
this was, you know, came out before. And the thing is, it's like, I see all the people that comment on this, because it was on Ultimate Classic Rock, which I'm subscribed to on Facebook or whatever.
Right.
And I see all the people that are commenting on the story, and they're like, who the hell cares? And all this shit, it's like, it's really sad how many people don't understand, like, how important that was at that time. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like Nirvana even, you know, like, they don't get it. Like, was he that good of a guitar player? No, he wasn't that good of a guitar player, but fuck, man. Wrote songs that changed the way music was looked at the time.
I think he really was a better guitar player than what he was.
Given credit for.
I mean, he was
Yeah.
probably so, like, Bleach, there's awesome solos on Bleach.
Dude,
like, I
Bleach-
could not recreate.
Yeah.
You know, even though, you know, I'm a decent guitar player, I could not recreate a lot of that stuff. And it just, but, you know, that's not, like, something he's known for. But it just, like, there was not one positive comment on the thing. And there were, like, 30 comments. It was like, who cares? He's been dead for 20 years. Like, he's way overrated and all this shit. And it's like, okay.
Whatever.
He can't.
This culture is based off what have you done for me lately kind of bullshit. And,
Yeah.
And
What music is out now that is that interesting? You know?
There's nothing.
Is that my preferred kind of music? Is Nirvana my favorite band? No. I mean, they were then, you know. But I mean,
They're still really good
you know,
bands.
you gotta give credit where credit's
Yep, you have to
Right.
give credit.
Darrin, let me ask you this question. I know this is going to feed into the conspiratorial side of my brain. Do you really think that Kurt killed himself?
I think he could have, but I think that he could have not too. is that a good answer? No. I think it's a possibility that he did, but maybe probably not. I don't know.
See, I flip flop, but here lately I still think that he totally did kill himself. But also, in the back of my mind, I don't know, it's kind of like this Louis C.K. kind of thing. It's like, just maybe.
Right.
He wanted to kill himself.
I kind of flip flop too.
Yeah, maybe he paid someone to kill him.
It could be.
I don't know.
They have all the theories and all the. There's even a new movie coming out called something about Bleach. It's another documentary to be released about. Oh, he was murdered. You know. But I mean, I don't know. I don't think we'll ever know for sure.
No.
I think it'll go down as he killed himself. So.
Yeah, I guess the bottom line and the fact is that he's dead. You know, it's like Tupac's totally dead. You know.
Who's to say the music would have been any good? You know, it's like, your right was okay, but like, it didn't take me very long to get annoyed with it.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, it sounded like they were going in an even more noisier direction that would have eventually probably gotten on my nerves.
Well, I'm thinking that there was plenty of other songs they could have released, like D7 and all these B-sides from that was on the widely circulated Outsecticide volumes. But I distinctly remember reading quite a bit that Kurt was in a positive point in his life after having a child, and he was talking about how he would rather write a very Beatles-esque pop record. And then I also remember him saying,
I would have loved that. That would have been great.
That's what he was wanting to do, I think, because he had a kid, and he's like, you know what, I need to lay off all this and all. And then there was speculation too that he wasn't going to put out another album like Nevermind for the record label, and I'm thinking there was going to get a little pissed about that. That they wasn't going to write that kind of stuff, and I'm sure Dave and Chris were all in agreement. So they're like, yeah, let's do a softer. Reflect the kind of mood that's going on in his head, and it would have been a great success story,
Right, well, you would think after the success of Unplugged that anybody would have known, wow, that was like the most popular Unplugged ever. They could totally get away with doing a record like that.
Yeah.
You would think people would understand that, but I don't know, man.
I don't know. It's in the past, and it's just a shame that kids just don't know and they don't care.
And that's just the fact of it's just the reality of the
We're
world.
the same way in some ways. It's like maybe when people found out Jimi Hendrix died in 69, that that blew their minds. And to me, that's like, that's a horrible loss, but I wasn't there to experience it like I was Kurt Cobain. So that's just why. I guess every era has their star that affects people.
Right. Shortly after, didn't Jerry Garcia die? Or was
He died somewhere back in that day too.
Oh.
All the Grateful Dead hippies were in mourning, but I never got into the Grateful Dead.
I'm still not into it. And also, I've been hearing and reading on the internet here lately that Jerry Garcia was basically a narc.
He was a CIA asset.
Really?
Yeah, and
Interesting.
Yeah, I know, right?
It makes sense because so was during the Haight-Ashbury, California acid movement that was going on in the late 60s and into the early 70s. Timothy Leary, which was the guy that's famous for Tune In, Drop Out, whatever. He was also on the bankroll for the Central Intelligence Agency, and so was Jerry Garcia.
Because I always wondered, it's like,
how do you get away with it?
Yeah, exactly. How do you go to a concert with maybe 4,000 people? obviously tripping balls on the most illegal drug that the United States has and not get busted for so long.
So yeah, if you look into it, which, you know, most people don't have the time to, that's the reason why a lot of times shit like this slips through the ether and goes unfucking judged or noticed. There seemed to be something going on with the CIA and hallucinogenic drugs that a lot of people are not very clear on, and the two big spokespeople were Jerry Garcia and Timothy Leary, so that should be a little flaky on the surface because, you know,
it could be all just hearsay. I just thought it was an interesting piece of knowledge. It makes me... I'm still not into Grateful Dead. Probably will never get into Grateful Dead, but when I dug into them a little bit, you know, that's a little piece of nugget that I got out of it.
Yeah. Mind control.
That's weird you guys are bringing that up, because I totally just read an article about how the CIA used to test LSD on people.
Yeah.
And it was about they had put these people, like their employees, this was, they had put them on a project, and so they were all supposed to meet at this cabin for a getaway at the cabin to discuss the project.
Right.
So when everyone got there, they served them this coffee that was spiked with LSD. So everybody started tripping balls, of course, because that's what people do. And everybody was fine, but this one guy, and he flipped out and, went crazy. And so they had to put him at home, and then he got out for a while, and then he ended up, killing himself.
Whoa.
It's like they were doing this to, and it was only the one guy that did it, but at the same time, it's like, they're dosing people without them knowing it.
Exactly.
You know? And it's just,
Worse than that, Darren, a whole city in France was dosed unknowingly through a weapon program through the United States. They dosed an entire fucking town of France. Women, children, men, on LSD 25. And they conducted tests because the goal was to see if it completely would slow down everyone's thought processes and see if they become more suggestible to any kind of demand that, say, whatever they had set up would make. And I don't think it worked out so well, and that's the reason when they stopped doing those kind of tests. And I think right now they're working on THC analogs, re-analogs, synthetic THC to demonize pot. I don't think it's going to, work out very well, but...
Right, switching gears here, Darren, what kind of projects do you have lined up here?
And shows.
let's see, man. Down Theory is my main band, of course. I was playing in this other band for a while, because it's right when Jared moved, and so I was like, well, I want to keep my chops up, so a friend asked me if I'd want to fill in on lead guitar for their band, Heaven's Gate, because their guitarist had just left to go this other band, his band, his own band. I started playing lead guitar for them for a while, and that's when I got the blackouts, because I was like, you know what? And it was actually the first time I'd ever really been in a band where I wasn't singing and it wasn't my song, So it was almost like being in a cover band just because I had to learn all their songs,
Right.
But it was cool because Jens, who's a guitar player, awesome guitar player. He's a great guy. I'm actually going to go play some songs with him tomorrow because me and him are he's setting up this kind of covers acoustic project, and so he and I have been working on some songs. So we're going to do that. But he's the guy I was filling in for Heaven's Gate, and he plays crazily, stuff that I don't play, but I don't write. So it was really fun to, figure it out. And then the parts I couldn't figure out, I was he was like, hey man, I'll show those to you. And so it was cool to sit down with him and go, wow, because he plays different than I play.
Right.
And it's cool to learn. Because I've learned stuff from Alan, and I think Alan's probably learned from me. It's just
A
cool
lot.
to
I've
sit
learned a
down
lot.
with people that play differently than you play, because then you're like, wow, I can do that too. I can add that into my arsenal,
Right.
So that was very cool to do that. And so I played with them for several months, and I'm in the album, my get the last, you know. But I got to put my thank yous in there, and both of you guys are in there.
Oh shit, for real?
Hell yeah, bro. Shit.
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
I'm
Man.
gonna send you guys a copy of it. I've just never gotten around to it. It's called Stranger Than Fiction. It's a really good record. I was, you know, it's really cool to you know, be in it and to have, you know, been in the band, but it was kind of taking focus away, like from what I want to do, and so I eventually had to quit. I was like, well, you know, I want to still sound theory is my main thing, and plus now I'm doing like some solo acoustic stuff as I post all the time, and I'm going to do some shows with that. I just have to set them up. Let's see, the next Sound Theory performance that we have booked so far is at the 3rd annual Sword Fest we played last year, and it's really cool, man, because it's last year it was, I can't remember how many bands, like 12, I think, and you know, it's really cool. A lot of people come out and they had this hot wing contest, and you know, what sucked is that last year I got really drunk because I had 2 of the gigantic 1.5 liters of wine.
Yeah.
And so I drank them both and played, but I played beautifully. It was amazing.
Oh shit.
How good I played.
That's awesome.
That's how I remember it. But I think we did, man. I mean, we won people over and stuff. But I got so hungry by the end of it. But the only thing they had to eat, because they had this hot wing contest, and they're like the hottest wings you could think about, you know?
Ooh.
Like, so I went to take a bite of one because that's all they had at the time. And, dude, it touched my lips, and my lips were on fire. It, like, blistered my lips for 3 days.
Holy shit.
I sat and watched this dude eat, like, a whole plate of them. It's like, I can't imagine the torture that he was going through for, like, the next 3 days trying to digest that.
Oh fuck, man! Anytime you ingest anything that's super hot, at least this is what happens to me. I immediately get the hiccups, my eyes start watering, and I just want some milk.
Oh, I know, man. I mean, it was horrible. Like, my lips were actually blistered. And,
Shit.
so we're playing that again this year, and it's going to be a much bigger deal. There's supposed to be like over 600 people there, or 600 people are you know, planning on coming right now. We'll see, but we have that, and that's not until August though. So we're gonna get some shows before then. It's just the weather's been so shitty up here. You think it would be a good time to play shows? It's like nobody wants to get out.
Right.
You think they'd want to go to like a bar because it sucks outside, but like, you know, everybody works so much that it's like it's so much easier to sit home and watch Netflix. You know,
Yeah.
I understand. So that's another thing that I've learned here from a lot of bands is you need to bring spectacle to what you do too. You know, it's like I come from the mentality that the music does the talking. You know,
Right.
and I think you guys have too. You know.
Totally.
You don't want to, because I never wanted to say anything ever on stage. You know, I never wanted to get there and, if I can't hear what's going on, I don't want to rock out because that's not me, you know?
Yeah, it seems like you're
I have to feel
faking
like
it.
rock out, but, you know, up here it's like spectacle, it's over. Like, cause there are some bands that are mediocre, but they bring a presence. And that matters more than how good your songs are.
Right.
So it's a line you have to walk, and it's something I've slowly learned over time. You have to bring a bit of spectacle to it. Now, am I gonna paint my face up? No, because it's not what I do. But there's absolutely nothing wrong with that if you know how to do it and make it work for you. You know.
Right. So.
So.
Yeah, man. So, I mean, it sounds like there's some positive stuff going on that you have lined
Yeah,
up.
That's the thing. There's so many good bands here, and I would love you guys to come visit. You know, especially if I had a show. But even if I didn't, there's always a good show that you can go see.
And that's awesome. And that's all that matters. You know, a good show, something that can get you to forget about your problems that you have pent up, something just to distract you and have a good time, as opposed to just being mad or just being angry.
That's the best thing, you know. It's like if you can get some friends together and go see a show of a band that you all like, you know, and have some drinks and just have some food and have fun. That's what's lacking. And you know, as you get older, everybody gets families and everything. And you know, I have a family, and you know, I have kids. But you know, you still have to make that time for yourself too. Because if you don't, you're gonna get depressed, and it's, you know, go out and have fun with your friends.
Right. Because you just don't want to sit around and wonder what happened.
Right.
Well,
for me personally in life, like that's the band stuff that's going on. But I recently got my CPR certification.
Okay.
Hell yeah, man.
I am taking classes to be a certified personal trainer. So
Oh, shit.
Most of my time now is studying.
I feel you.
But right now, what I'm actually doing is I'm a PCA, which is the personal care assistant.
Right.
So when
I heard about that.
be the personal trainer, then I will, you know, basically I will be a PCA and an NASM CPT with a certification in CPR and AED. Lots of acronyms there.
Damn. It's a lot of PPs and CCs.
Yeah, well, you know, that's what it takes
If I can go
to.
back to college to be an accountant, I can be a CPA too. So
Hey, yeah, I've just
and
been.
that in there as well. But
That's awesome, man. I've just been dabbling in a few classes here and there. I'm trying to get my RN. That's what I'm trying to go to school for. It's kind of weird.
Cool, man. See, I was going to do that too, actually. I was going to do that, and then this personal trainer thing came along. And I'm sure you've heard of the NASA one, because that's the one Stone Cold Steve Austin pushes on his show, brother. Yeah. But, you know, it's the National Academy of Sports Medicine is the degree or the certification. And so Austin pushes that on his show, and so I heard that today, actually, so I was like, well, I want to do that.
So that's awesome, dude.
That's what I'm going for.
So yeah, I mean, it's just, if nothing else, I always thought it was just a good time waster. A constructive way to spend your time is, you know, on your downtime from music, why not, you know, pick up a trade or something? You know, I don't know.
Right. I mean, you know, who's to say, you know, you have to have something to fall back on too. You know, I mean, it's like, and plus, you know, if it's not music, because you know music is my life as it is you guys' lives.
Right.
And we have so many interests that are in common.
Yeah.
But like, probably my second main thing is, you know, workout and fitness. Like that's something I love, and you know, I'm knowledgeable about it. So why not use that knowledge to make it from scratch?
Well, yeah. Why the fuck not, man? Why the fuck not?
Right. And so, you know, it's cool. I joined the gym up here, and let's see, since I've been to the gym, I'm down 20 pounds. I'm getting back in my good shape, you know, because it's so easy once you get married and you fall in, and you're like, well, I don't have to be sexy anymore. I can be normal. But, you know, so it's, you know, it's good for me too. I'll basically be getting paid to stay in shape too, because you have to look the part.
Right.
You can't really be like, I'm not in shape because I'm training you. That's how I spend all my time.
Right.
You know,
Well, that's
you
good.
have to make them be like, well, cool, that dude's in shape. I want to be in shape too.
Hell yeah, man.
So,
Darrin,
that's what's going on with me.
yeah, that's fucking fantastic, man. I'm just glad, you know, just like you got things on the horizon, positive changes in your life, you know, to go forward with, as well as
man,
keeping music in
It
there.
was dark there for a little while, but life goes on, and no matter what happens to you, it's like, you know, unless you die, like, shit's gonna keep happening. So, I mean, you might as well just fucking go with it and be happy.
Yeah, I totally agree with that 100%.
Yeah.
Well, Darrin, it's been fantastic having you on the Stiff Oddcast.
It's an honor, dude. We got to do another one. We can go on about more details about other stuff, dude. And we're thinking about integrating, like, actual tracks, songs and stuff to
Well,
put in there,
some
like a
bumper
real radio
music,
thing. Yeah.
When we, when someone mentions the song, it'd be like, here it is.
Here it is, yeah. But I'm going to post links on the equipment you've used over the years, just in case someone gets wildly curious. And I'm sure there's a lot of left-handed guitar players out there that have been, written off by the guitar because they can't get the guitar they want and they don't want to, string a guitar reverse. But yeah, man, we can go on.
Don't listen to play it upside down, left-handed people. I mean, do what's comfortable to you.
Exactly. Yep.
So is there any closing comments or thoughts you want to leave the Stiff Oddcast audience with?
Yes, I miss you guys incredibly bad, I guess we could say.
Oh, man.
But, I'm kicking it here, and I'm alive and well, and I will visit eventually when I can, and that's cool, but, keep on living, and don't die until it's your time.
Okay.
Hell yeah, man.
That's fair.
We appreciate your time, Darrin. This has been the April 29th?
This is episode 7.
What time is it now? Oh, yeah. We're still within limits.
Okay, April 29th, 2014 edition of the Stiff Oddcast. Thank you, Darrin Johnson, and we hope to hear from you in the future.
Hell yeah. A Sound Theory. Check them out.